This is the BBC Home and Forces program. This is Bruce Belfridge. Here's some excellent news which has come during the past hour in the form of a communique from GHQ Cairo. It says, the Axis forces in the Western Desert, after 12 days and nights of ceaseless attacks by our land and air forces, are now in full retreat.
That'll show plenty more where that came from.
The Afrika Korps, utterly broken and possessed with no thought but flight, was hotly pursued. But the 8th Army was not only the thunder behind, but the lightning ahead. From hull-down positions on the road of escape, our guns and tanks knocked out on first day of retreat over 50 of Rommel's remaining panzers without loss. He had already left 500 tanks behind him on the battlefield. We captured over 1,000 pieces of artillery. Up to 1,000 aircraft, from troop carriers to fighters, were wreckage on the ground. Italians in the south, abandoned by Rommel with neither food nor water, were swept up by us to the tune of 5 divisions. In the north, we took thousands of Germans. Among them were von Thoma, commander of the Afrika Korps, Buyout, leader of the German parachutists, and 8 Italian generals. We buried 20,000 enemy dead, but in rendering our own dead the same final duty, great care had to be used. For the Germans, on several occasions, had attached booby traps to our men's bodies. Pursuit was remorseless. Every enemy column on the coast road or in the desert, sometimes jammed head to tail, was bombed, blasted and machine-gunned. They tasted what they'd administered in France and Poland. Forces on the ground had crushed Rommel's flimsy rearguard and were sweeping on. After 2 days' pursuit, rain fell, and the chase was much impeded. Stretches of road turned to shallow streams. Aircraft landing grounds were waterlogged. Despite the rains, however, on the 4th day we had taken, after a brief fight, Mersa Matruh, the first of the newly captured ports the Navy used to bring up supplies. The first heavily mined roads were encountered at Hellfire Pass, where the twisting road rises 700 feet. From then onwards to Benghazi, 450 miles further west, every pass had been blown by the enemy, and every mile of road had to be examined and cleared of mines and obstructions. The engineers worked night and day. To Saloum, the Navy brought 1.5 million gallons of water and other vital supplies. By the 8th day, the enemy had been cleared out of Egypt. Tobruk, whose name is written deep in our Middle East campaigns, Tobruk, which we held as a fortress behind the enemy lines for 9 months and which had already changed hands twice, was ours once more. The date was November the 13th. In Cyrene, the 8th Army passed from desert to a green countryside, which its Italian colonists had abandoned, and it was no more than a week between our taking Tobruk and entering Benghazi. At Benghazi we paused to replenish our supplies. The harbor, bombed by us for over 2 years, so regularly that the pilots called it doing the mail run, was now littered with sunken ships. Cranes, installations, and most of the quays were demolished. Yet the Navy and engineers worked to such good purpose that before long our ships were unloading. By sea and land, we were soon bringing up 3 million gallons of petrol a week and 8,000 tons of ammunition. While we'd been building up our strength, Rommel had been digging in at El Agheila. But after remaining 3 weeks preparing to fight, he changed his mind and withdrew as soon as he felt the full weight of our attack. His indecision achieved nothing except to intensify our new onslaught. From El Agheila to Tripoli is 530 miles. It took the 8th Army 41 days to accomplish it. During that time, they fought several actions with Rommel's rearguards, putting down on one occasion a barrage rivaling that of El Alamein. But though we were delayed, our onward sweep was never in doubt. Just before the last stage began, General Montgomery said in an order of the day, "Nothing has stopped us since the Battle of Egypt began. Nothing will stop us now." And nothing did. 8 days later, we were fighting on the outskirts of Tripoli itself. The surrender of Tripoli by the governor of Libya and the mayor of the city extinguished the Italian overseas empire. Country by country, the British army had conquered it. Abyssinia, Eritrea, Italian Somaliland, Libya, Tripolitania. Not a single town now remained to them. In 80 days, the 8th Army had advanced close on 1,400 miles, a feat unparalleled in military history. Throughout the battle and advance, for every casualty suffered, it had inflicted 5 on the enemy. In the words of Mr. Churchill,
"You have altered the face of the war in a most remarkable way. What it has meant in the skill and organization of movement and maneuver, what it has meant in the tireless endurance and self-denial of the troops, and in the fearless leadership displayed in action, can be appreciated only by those who are actually on the spot. But I must tell you that the fame of the Desert Army has spread throughout the world.